today I want to talk about something we've all experienced, starting something new and completely sucking at it. And I'm sure you know exactly what I'm talking about because sucking at something is just a phase that we're all going to go through when we're achieving something. But honestly, that's where the magic is. When you start out of chasing your dreams, you're going to be learning a new skill and you're going to be stepping out of your comfort zone. You're probably even starting a new business or, you know what, just whatever it is. And you're going to start comparing yourself to others who seem so far ahead. And you're going to think, maybe I'm just not good enough. And I just want to say that honestly, I've also been there because that's exactly how I also just used to think, and quite honestly, I think I still think like that. Um, it is definitely something that I have struggled with, and I sort of struggle or still struggle with because before I obviously didn't have the mentality that I'm gonna talk about later now, but obviously was before I had the mentality, it was a different experience. And now when I do start doubting myself and comparing myself, I know that okay, no, I'm in a different stage, so let me just block out those thoughts and keep going. So I want to tell you the truth of it. Nobody, and literally nobody, starts out perfect. Every expert, every pro, every icon you admire once sucked. What they're now great at, and you know, they made a lot of mistakes and they embraced it and they learned from it. And that's literally the whole point. You just have to take your mistakes, embrace them, don't beat yourself up for it, because you are literally gonna beat yourself up for it. I don't know why, but we take mistakes so hard, and I understand that maybe depending on what your dream is, the mistakes obviously weigh a whole lot more heavier, but you really can't always let that determine whether you still want to continue or not, because honestly, as I was saying, there's honestly people out here who have literally struggled and failed for years and years, probably even 10 years at most, and there's always a breakthrough. And I think that you can, like, maybe if you see that maybe your dream isn't going as the way that you expect it to be, maybe you can either try a different tactic, or you can, I don't know, maybe just minus it down so that you can still tend to it while focusing on something else. Starting on something new, you're always just gonna go through a flop era. That's what I describe from my own. That's what I use. Like last year, I was always telling myself that, oh my gosh, I'm in my flop era, because I would literally be trying to post or trying to complete a project, and my results were basically just in the toilet. Like they was just bad, and it was kind of embarrassingly bad. Yeah, so I just told myself that I'm in my flop era, and we're gonna get out of that flop era one day, okay? And honestly, I think sucking is okay. I think it's okay because honestly, you're just basically here to learn, and that's all you can really do. Maybe when you learn, you're probably just going to find out something that's gonna completely change everything for you, because one thing I can definitely tell you is that the things that you think at the beginning, at any point, with anything in life, you're going to be thinking very differently once you reach the end of it. You're going to have a whole entire new perspective, mindset, and honestly, if you see yourself going through, I don't know, a forced change because your first initial idea towards your dream wasn't working out, then honestly take it. You have literally have nothing to lose. The beginning of your journey, and this is basically what it is right now. If you're watching this video, then most likely you are in the beginning of your journey. Even if you've been in there for like, I don't know, a couple of years now, it's still the beginning. It is very much the beginning. The beginning can, I don't know, it can be 3 days up to, I don't know, 3 years, maybe even 30. So this is only the beginning, and the beginning is always messy. It is always awkward, maybe even embarrassing, maybe even disappointing. But you know what? You're gonna have to keep pushing forward, because once you keep pushing forward, you're going to reach I don't know, a silver lining or a light at the end of the tunnel. There's gonna be a light at the end of your tunnel. That's what I want to use. And you're gonna be struggling, but it'll be worth it at the end. For example, when I started out of like my fashion design journey, it was like a complete disaster. Like the work I was producing was just wow. Like looking back at it, and I did this last year, I was looking back at all the work I did during my first year as a fashion design student, and I was like, what was I thinking? This is disgusting, this is gross. But you know what? I was honestly struggling, and it took like a mental hold on me, because obviously I was comparing myself to the people around me who were doing better than me. And honestly that experience was difficult, but I kind of just kept thinking about, you know, the people that I looked up to at the time, and I was like, well, they went through all that struggle. I literally did like some own research, and like pretty much just leaned onto their experiences to motivate me. Maybe that would help. Like maybe go look up someone that you admire and then look into their story, because it can actually really be helpful knowing that someone who's there at the top literally struggled probably even more than you. So honestly, if they can do it, then maybe you have nothing to complain or worry about. Another thing is that during the beginning of the whole first year thing, obviously when I say that I'm going through mental effects, I obviously felt depressed, because it's obviously not nice seeing other people do, well, in my situation, they were doing half of the work and getting better results. So in my head I was like, damn, I suck at that much. It's the same thing with social media. You'll literally see people, if you're like a small creator, you'll literally see people doing the bare minimum, and then they like go viral, and then here you are doing the whole shebang boom baya, and you're not getting any results that you would like you're not getting noticed like at all. So yeah, if you're a small creator, you probably understand that frustration. And you know, one thing that just got me through from that whole entire negative space is that I just kept telling myself that, you know, I can only learn from this failure, and it's just going to be part of it. And the next following year, my second year, I'm going to try and do better. And that's exactly what I did. And I honestly made so much progress that it was actually so boosting. And I literally could have just given up right there during my first year of design, because it was obviously super expensive, and there was actually more, I think like half, or probably even more than half of the people who were there with us in first year dropped out because they obviously experienced the same thing as me, because you're basically telling yourself that you're not good enough for this, because it is a very competitive industry. So a lot of people just told themselves that we're gonna give up now, because obviously they told themselves that they sucked. They just let the flop era consume them, basically. Like, they didn't fight against it, they didn't want to give it another chance, they just called it quits. Obviously that's something that I didn't do. Next following year I obviously went, actually the next following year I took it easier, but in terms of that specific goal I definitely went harder, and you know, it turned out well for me. Personally, I just think there's no point in really giving up on your dream, because you're gonna think about it literally for so many years in your life, and you'd be thinking about, oh, I wonder how my life would have turned out if I hadn't given up on this, because you're definitely gonna have those moments. I've definitely had those moments where I would give up on like this little hobby, and then I'd see someone else excelling at it like months or years later, and I'm like, oh dang, that's probably where I would be if I hadn't given up. Or dang, I really shouldn't have given up, because look, this person went through the exact same thing that I was going through, and now the conditions are literally favoring them and they're excelling at it. Because that's also another factor, is that maybe it's just not actually you, and it's the conditions in your environment, or I don't know, depends on your dream or goal. And if you're just gonna let yourself loose to an environment, then you're never gonna get to reap the fruits of your labor from all that struggling from the previous years, or probably months, days. So here's why it's okay to suck at first. It's proof you're trying. Most people never even start because they're scared of failing. By trying, you're already ahead of them, honestly. Like, at least you're there. So even they judge you, at least you're here. It's how you learn. Mistakes aren't failures, they're lessons. Every stumble is going to be a step forward. So honestly, if things aren't going your way, it's fine. You're going to learn from it. And if they laugh at you, ridicule you, judge you, it's fine. You're going to learn from it. Maybe they might even say something that could probably even help you. You can only improve. The only direction from here is literally just up. And with practice and time and persistence, you will get better. And I literally just want to tell people to please never give up, because you're gonna regret it. Like, you're literally gonna regret it if you give up. I literally can't stop telling people to never give up on a goal, because there's literally no greater pain, or at least there are, probably are, but in this scenario there's no other greater pain than seeing someone else living the life that you dream to live, all because you decided to give up. Meanwhile, that person is doing the exact same thing as you, but they didn't give up, and now they're flourishing. They went through all of that, but you chose the easy way out. You just gave up, and now you're living with that regret. And honestly, it is so much more better to live with the satisfaction of knowing that, okay, I tried this, it didn't work, that's fine, than to just try once, give up, okay, then it's done. You do not want to deal with that regret. Trust me, you do not want to deal with that regret. I know the pain of that regret so much. I've given up on so many side hobbies, and then I'd see some girl literally doing the same thing that I was doing, but now they're literally so much more ahead because, well, obviously they didn't stop doing it. And honestly, I just don't want anyone else to be beating themselves up like I did. So honestly, that's why I'm kind of just saying this in this video, because you don't want to deal with that pain. Honestly, if you're feeling stuck right now, here's like a little mindset shift that helped me. So don't aim to be perfect, aim to learn, set small achievable goals and celebrate the progress no matter how small. Trust me, those tiny wins are going to add up over time, and then you're gonna look back in your life and be like, wow, I literally started here at level 1 and now I'm here at level 10. And if you're like a big dreamer, let's say that, like me, you're gonna dream big, and it's either gonna be overwhelming or it's either gonna be super unrealistic for you at that current point in your life. So honestly, one thing I've learned from goal setting, that I've learned from other people and also from my teachers, is that it's better to just start small and climb that ladder. So if you're like me, who's in the flop era, and you're failing and you're just sucking, and take it from me, it's all a part of the journey. Honestly, just have to keep going and keep learning and just keep showing up. You know, it might just turn out well for you one day. Honestly, you never know, not every day is going to be the same. So maybe that one extra day you kept going was finally your day. And obviously be aware of why you're sucking and how, so that you can obviously improve, because there's no point in sucking and then just not having any self-awareness. So obviously also say that at least be self-aware. Don't just embrace it, just try to adjust. You're obviously going to change, because obviously your first idea at the beginning is not going to be the same. You're obviously going to be learning a whole bunch of other different stuff that's going to be working for you. And that's just with everything in life. The things that you think at the beginning are completely different to the things that you think and you know, and that mindset that you have towards the end is just completely different. And honestly, instead of fighting that change or development, or instead of, just instead of doing the same thing over and over again, try to change, and adjust yourself. And you never know, maybe that one change might just be your golden ticket to success. But honestly, I think that sucking is probably the best thing that can ever happen to anyone. The flop era is the best era to start in, because the people who succeed at the beginning, if you're like a small creator, you probably know that frustration of seeing someone do the bare minimum of what you're doing and then they go viral. Meanwhile, you're here doing the whole entire Boombayah and not seeing any progress. Yeah, it's gonna hurt, but you're gaining more experience than they will ever, because honestly, I've even noticed people who go viral for literally nothing, they don't really last that long. So honestly, because of that, I think it might just be better to suck and be in the flop era than someone who has it easier. You're gonna learn a whole bunch of interesting stuff, and might just make you flourish 10 times more than they will ever be able to. So honestly, sucking is the best thing to ever happen, and I fully embrace it. And hopefully you also fully embrace it. Embrace the sucking, the judgment, probably even negative energy from people. I don't know, ridicule. They're probably gonna laugh at you. gonna feel embarrassment, just embrace all of that, because I just feel like it works out at some point in time, and you're just gonna feel better knowing that you didn't give up. Like, honestly, there's literally so many stories that I can mention about basically people who didn't give up, and I'm sure you probably even know a lot of these stories. But I'm not gonna say it because I haven't fact checked it, and I don't want to say something that's incorrect. So honestly, all I can really say is that you just have to keep going, keep learning, and keep showing up for yourself, because one day you'll look back and realize that sucking at the start was probably the best thing that ever happened to you.